I want to welcome you all to the Experience Lab and this week's virtual Salon. I'm Sonia Rhodes, founder and CEO, and together with our entire team of Experience Catalysts, we welcome you and extend our massive gratitude for all that you and your teams continue to do to lead the way in these extraordinary times. The Experience Lab is an incubator of ideas and an accelerator for action, partnering with visionary healthcare systems in the exploration and design of a more human healthcare experience for our team members, our providers, our patients, and their loved ones. And we support organizations in leading, looking, living, and loving their way to a new future in healthcare. Now, to turn our collective attention to today's Salon topic, let's begin together with a simple reflection on hope. With Christopher Reeve's thoughtful words when he said, "Once you choose hope, anything is possible." Today, we will all have the opportunity to dwell in hope and possibilities with one of my very favorite possibilitarians in the world, Brad Montague, author, artist, do-gooder, creator of Kid President. Brad is a collaborator in the Experience Lab and the original Joy Rebel. It is my great pleasure to introduce you to our modern day Mr. Rogers, Brad Montague. Welcome, Brad.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for taking time to be part of this, for pausing to just be encouraged, hopefully inspired, and reminded. I am coming to you from Tennessee right now, and just like the rest of the world, we are feeling the effects of what's happening. And I know you are on the front lines of that. And so I want to share with you a couple of things that have been encouraging me, but most of all, I think that they could hopefully be helpful to you in your work. And they come from a source that you might not look to always for when you're looking for something that's going to be helping someone in your shoes. But I've been talking with children, specifically elementary school students. I spent time with 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, and I've been asking them questions about what it means to be a human being. What is it like to grow up? What do you think of us grown-ups? And what I learned has helped shape the way that I father, the way that I write. And in thinking about you and your work, and in this moment, I want it to be of help to you. I'm going to share this here and hopefully give you some things that you can look at. And you can see that, so that's me. That's my name. Brad. And today, I don't know where everybody's tuning in from, but I know we have members of the healthcare community, caregivers that are from all over the country in different spots and in different circumstances. And I'm not exactly sure why you got into this, what led you to go into healthcare. Maybe it's because you've known that for years it's this profession that is looked at and regarded. It is something that we would always look to those who are in medicine as like they were gods. And maybe you saw an image like this and thought, hey, that's me. I could do that. Or, you thought, you could help and all of the lowly people. Or maybe you thought this is you. You were just very handsome and beautiful and thought, well, I guess this is my fate. I must go into medicine. Who knows? This is an image that a child drew of a healthcare provider, and I'm doubtful that you, when thinking about wanting to go into medicine or helping people, that you wanted to be as terrifying as some children might see you. And that's not you. You might have gotten into healthcare because you just really love insurance. Probably not. But I know you got into this because you are full of compassion for people and want your life to be of service. There's 3 things I've learned in spending time with young people that's helping me grow into a better adult. One of those is that we always find ourselves between point A and point B in a messy middle, in a spot in which we thought things would go one way and then they went a different way. A spot in which we are trying to get to a space and it gets really messy in the middle. For me, it was recently in a drive-through window. I was just getting my coffee and my friend sent me this text and he asked if I was having a bad day. And I was like, why is he asking that? And then he sent me this picture. Yeah, that looks horrifying. I didn't start my day miserable, but I got in the middle and I'm in line and I'm waiting to get something and there I am. That's terrible. And I know that there's so many places in life where you find yourself in that spot where you're right in the messy middle. There's a point in which we're born and then we age, and that spot in between can be really challenging. There's an image that gets passed around a lot that says that being an adult is like folding a fitted sheet. You could insert anything. It's this impossible situation that gets really difficult. Where we are right now is a spot that's a truly messy middle. And then there's you. And one of the first things that I want you to know is that great leaders can remind people who they are. You are in a leadership position in whatever spot you're in. And you have a unique opportunity to be a storyteller. I'm a storyteller. I make things. You can see there's a cardboard TV here, and I do videos on YouTube and have created things that are stories. But really, every person can do this in the capacity in which wherever they find themselves. There's a book Howard Gardner wrote where he studied lots of great leaders, and he found that every single time these leaders got up in front of people, they would speak to the community and remind them who they were. This is your identity. This is what you're capable of. This is why we do what we do. This is who you are. Recently on the news, we've seen a lot of stories about things that are happening, and this is an image that really grabbed me. A man with his hands on the glass of a window saying thank you to the people in emergency services for saving his wife's life. You've probably seen images like this, and there's many of them. What I love about this image is that I saw it and thought, wow, this is just so powerful. He desperately wants to say thank you and express his gratitude. And then the person who actually tweeted this image out, it was taken by an ER nurse in New Jersey. He posted the image and then he said, this is a writer, Harlan Coben, who said, this is who we are. That image, this is who we are. Who are you? In so many ways, in the way you walk, the way you move, the way you heal and help others heal, you are constantly reminding the people who you work with and the people you work for, this is who we are. You are reminding us what humanity is capable of. You are showing us that we are brave in vulnerability, that we are caring, compassionate, and that we show up. Because a lot of times when we speak to each other, we can forget who we are. We can forget who the other person is on the receiving end of the communication. We see this a lot in online communication. I worked in YouTube for a long time, and the comment section can be a really prickly place. So I had to make a sticker. And I made this sticker that says, I'm just a human being who wants to be loved. And it's a little thought balloon. And I would think anytime anybody's commenting, if it's a nice comment, they're just a human being who wants to be loved and they're saying some words. If it's not a nice comment, they're just a human being who wants to be loved. And they're very unlovable right now. It always fit. You could put it on the cover of any cover of a newspaper or magazine. You could see whoever made the headlines that week, they're just a human being who wants to be loved. Every single person. Whether they've have been celebrated by media, whether they're on opposite ends of a political spectrum, or whether they're a pale, weird man who makes YouTube videos. Just human beings who want to be loved. And I look at you and the people in your midst, and if you can remember that that is who you are, that's who the people who are around you are, Another thing that I've been learning is that listening is what great leaders do. Great leaders are great listeners. And children love when you listen to them. And children are also great listeners. They don't always show that. We don't always see that and celebrate that. But I learned that children had this ability to, in the midst of so much noise, to find the beauty. There could be so many loud, there could be racket, there could be people complaining, but they will find the butterfly. They will find the little quiet hum that's happening always. There's going to be a lot of noise. There already is. There's lots of beeps and alarms and sirens, and you're getting those nonstop. I hope that in the midst of all this, you can pause and listen and find the beauty, and that you can amplify it. This is, according to legend, this was written in a diary. It said, "Nothing important happened today." And the person who wrote that was King George III on the 4th of July, 1776. News traveled slow then. And so he was just writing, nothing important happened today. And yet, the world shifted. You're going to get a lot of news. You're going to be getting a lot of feedback. And I hope that in the midst of that, you can always hear the true story, the real story of what's happening. And that you can help us tell that, the good, the challenging, but share it. Because something important happened today, and you were part of it. Let us know. One thing that I love is that in the midst of listening, there are people who are wanting to be heard. They're wanting you to hear their voices. And they are crying out to say, "We see you. We believe in you." The Experience Lab set up this incredible number that people are calling. Children are calling. Families are calling. Senior citizens are calling. They're calling to say, "Thank you. We see you. We need you." And in those moments where there's a lot of noise, I hope you can pause and sit and hear and receive these messages of people cheering you on. In the moments of darkness, can you know that there is a love army of people who are blasting love your way and letting you know you can do this, reminding you who you are. There is this that I have thought about a lot, and I made it's advice for discouraged sailors. When you're sailing, like we are now in the midst of a messy time, it's important to stop, steady your boat, study your compass, and seek the wind. It's going to be hard to stop because there's so much happening. It's a great sea of need. But we need for you to steady your boat and study your compass, the purpose, the mission for what you're doing and why. And then I pray that you can seek the wind, that the wind will find you and set sail to exactly where you need to be. I started listening with, I just spilled a bunch of coffee, which is just great. We started listening to kids, and I found that using a tin can phone and playing around allowed them to open up. And it actually opened up a frequency to sounds I was not hearing. Playful sounds, lovely sounds that were happening in a world of noise that I was missing all the time. And I learned that one of the things kids needed most from us grown-ups, what makes a really great grown-up, I thought that a great grown-up was somebody who showed up and did massive things, that threw parades for people, that did huge, epic things. And all the kids I met and spoke with when they talked about great adults, great people, they just wanted a grown-up who would show up. Your homework right now, in this moment and in every moment, is simply to show up. You as who you are. Not in a grand way, not in a way of showing I'm so great, but showing up and being who you are. I asked kids to send me art of what they thought hope looked like. Because hope's this big idea, right? So what would they say it is? And so kids started sending me drawings. They used really colorful things. Sometimes they worked as a team. Sometimes they used their thumbprints, which was really beautiful. There were lots of hearts. I got thousands of submissions. There was superheroes, lots of superheroes. These bright, beautiful colors. Hey, look at this. So good. I said the word hope, and this is what they saw in their heads, felt in their hearts. A world of people holding hands and working together. But there was one thing that stood out in the midst of all of this. There was a very tiny piece of art. And I thought that maybe what would be fun is to smuggle all of these kids' artworks and get them into the Guggenheim. Like, so they could forever say that their artwork was shown in one of the most famous art museums in the world. Smuggled all this art in. This is what a kid sent to me. Hope is where we are. That's what he wrote. Did a few colors, and then just simply wrote the words, hope is where we are. I was trying to smuggle all this hope in and get it into a museum and put it up on a wall, do something really big. And he was writing on a little sheet of paper, hope is where we are. For you, may you remember that hope is right where you are. So many people are going to be looking for it. And when they see you, they will not just see a person. They won't see somebody with a lanyard, an ID badge, and a uniform. They won't see somebody. They are going to see a bright ray of hope. It's right where you are. In those moments where it feels hopeless, where it feels dark, hope is right where you are. You are uniquely prepared in this moment and for this moment to be the hope the people in your orbit need. There's a story that helps me remember this, and I share it often with children because it helped me think about my place in the world. Because sometimes you think about the future and you think, oh, it's dark. It's going to be hard and challenging for us. The stories we often tell about the future are dark. There's an astronaut who told me this story. His name was Commander Ron Garan. And he said, I want to tell you this. If you ever forget that you have a place in the future that we can create together, remember this, that our planet, with 7.4 billion humans on it, if an asteroid was heading to this planet with 1.8 billion people on it, younger than 18, and this was surely going to destroy us, it was headed for us, a collision course for our planet, we wouldn't have to send Bruce Willis and a team of space heroes. Because in the movie Armageddon, they send Bruce Willis and he goes and then he blows it up. Look at that. It explodes. Look at that. We wouldn't have to do that. This is what he said we would do. This was an actual astronaut tells me that if that was happening, a rocket no bigger than a 2002 Ford Taurus would go, wouldn't even have to land on it. It would just be near it. And then with the force of nothing stronger than a feather, would give it just a little nudge. Just a small nudge. Not a push, not a massive show of force, not an explosion, not a really angry tweet, just a little nudge. And that would completely alter the trajectory of that headed towards Earth, saving every person that we love and know. That's all it would take, just the force of a feather. At the end of every day, I hope you can rest in the fact that you showed up and your little nudges created big change. You won't always see them and immediately know them. You won't always make the headlines. You won't always have people giving you awards and recognition. You won't always hear that and see that. But just know the little bitty ways you showed up and took care of the people that you work with, the people you work for, the people in your midst. Those little nudges create big change, completely altering the future for all of us. You remind us who we are. Listen for the beauty all around you and nudge us gently towards a brighter future. I don't know why you got into medicine. Maybe it's because of great history. Maybe it's because you wanted to be important, or you're just devilishly handsome. But man, when we see you, we see hope. Hope is where you are. Mr. Rogers was once asked to write the chapter, an introduction to a book for men and women who worked on children's eyes, for ophthalmologists. He was asked to write this preface to a giant book. Medical professionals were writing in it, but then they asked Mr. Rogers to write in it. And the words he wrote were, "Remember, you were a child once too." All of the medical expertise and knowledge that you could have is great. You have that. Can you just pause and remember that at one point in time, you were a child once too, small, vulnerable, in need of guidance and help? His thinking was that if he could have these men and women who work closely, intimately with children's eyes, that if they could hold on to that compassionate worldview of being a child, it would affect every way they acted and moved and took care of children. You're brilliant. You are skilled, highly trained, experienced, prepared. And you were a child once too. And that ultimately prepares you to love the people around you in ways that we need. We're in a messy middle, an unprecedented time, and hope is right where you are. I think about stories and the stories we're telling, and the story you're telling and showing us who we are. Imagine that there's storybook characters and they've arrived at the part in a book where it's always been the same story, but then all of a sudden they look down and somebody scribbled in the story. So then the two friends decided to, oh no, the sentence is scratched through. What do we do next? Oh no, we've never gotten to this part in the story before. This is us. We're looking down and going, wait, what happens next? What do we do? We've got question marks all over us, you and me, all of us. Let's write what happens next together. Maybe that's the answer. And that is just what they did. For each of us, for you, I hope that we can write what happens next together. There's so much I'm uncertain of, but something I know for sure is that you are hope. You are prepared. You are exactly what we need to write what happens next. I hope today you can feel that and know that. That is who you are. I hope you hear it, hold it, know it. Let's write what happens next together.
Oh, Brad. Oh, my goodness. You do something to my heart when I'm with you, and sometimes to the corners of my eyes that start to leak. Thank you for helping us stay hopeful in this challenging time. I learned so much from our conversations. I love the reminder of your nudge for us and our nudge for each other and for the world, and for opening us up to a frequency that we may have been missing these last few weeks. I do want everyone to know that Brad's new book, I have one with me because I ordered a ton of them on pre-release. Brad's new book, Becoming Better Grownups, is just a beautiful guide for everything that he shared with us today and so much more. We want to thank you, all of you, every one of you and everyone in your organizations for your wholehearted leadership in these really difficult times. We want to thank Brad for sharing your brilliance and your whole heart with all of us. Let's indeed remember that hope is where we are. I want to thank you for healing healthcare and humanity. Have a wonderful afternoon. See you soon.